Today I don't have much. I'll be doing very short video, maybe about 10 minutes, just to make sure that today I am not posting. But I've been so busy with a lot of tasks here and there, and therefore I didn't make it to do much in the reaction world. However, this evening, of course, something happened in the city with Super Metro misbehaving. Of course, for those who have been in the city of Nairobi, you understand the hula baloos about the vehicles that transit in many, they ply on many roads in Nairobi. And of course, one of the situations that happen is that the conductors and drivers are sometimes very reckless, extremely reckless in a manner that they don't care whether people are at peace or they don't have peace. All that matters to them is collection of money, and at the end of the day, they do what they want to do. So, of course, was it last month, there was an incident in one of the vehicles reported with drivers or, the conductors pushing the clients, if they don't pay maybe or something like that. And it's not just happening today. It's something that happens even for vehicles plying to distant roads. We've seen situations whereby customers are left in a very maybe worrying sides. One of such situations happened on Mombasa Road where a female individual was left in near Tsavo, all right? And of course, it ended up being severed by hyenas, all right? So it's not a very good thing because it defines how inhumane individuals are. So let's check into one incident of Mureithi Joseph, who was actually pushed out of a car and had to die, because obviously if you're pushed from a speeding bus, you will hit your head and that comes as an end of you. So let's check this to see what happened here. Oh, okay. So let's check on this, the volume.
Wala now tells us in the following report. Tuesday night at around 11 p.m. along the busy Kitengela Namanga highway just a few meters from Shalom Hospital, the spot where 25-year-old Joseph Mureithi would lose his life. Mureithi, a petrol attendant at a nearby station in Athi River, had reportedly just finished work. Witnesses say he arrived at this stage and boarded a Super Metro bus heading to Nairobi from Kitengela. But what was meant to be a routine ride home would turn tragic. Witnesses claim the bus was overcrowded and that the crew appeared chaotic and confrontational. Moments after Mureithi boarded, the vehicle pulled away. In less than a kilometer, the 25-year-old was allegedly pushed out of the moving bus. It is claimed the bus ran over him before speeding off into the night.
So kufika pale chini, ndio ni kama huyo msukosuko ikaanza na huyo kijana akatolewa ndani ya gari kama ameshika chuma kihao. Akaanguka chini. Na sikufika hapo nilikuwa nafikiria ati ameanguka tu hivi kumbe ameanguka na ki.
All right, guys, if you listen to the discussions of those who are on board, of course, this is a common incident that happens in the city of Nairobi. I don't know, for those watching me, does it happen in other countries? I know some people watch me from different places, South Africa. We have people watch me from Rwanda, Uganda, Tanzania, and many other places, including the US, UK, and other sides. Does this happen? Does this row of the rowdy buses, the incident of conductors who are unfriendly? Of course, I understand that in some places like USA, we don't have the situation of conductors. You're supposed to buy a voucher earlier and then ply in a vehicle towards your destination. And again, in some places, Japan, China, most of people use carriers and trains to get to their destination. However, in Nairobi, one of the places in Kenya, we have very rowdy conductors, save for few. Of course, we have those who are humane enough that will listen to you. And of course, with the challenges that are facing a lot of Kenyans, people may not be willing to pay for you, or maybe they'll think you are actually just playing as a fraud in a vehicle. So looking at what happened, actually being pushed, especially when the vehicle is speeding, was a very inhumane condition. or rather situation that would lead into people walking away from Super Metro and avoiding it totally. That's how vehicles, actually, some companies come down unless they rebrand and have other names. And of course, people will automatically know. So let's listen to this again.
Instead of urushe mtu nje, afadhali mwambie itaweza weka nje, ngoje the next gari. Walifanya hiyo kisa, by the way, na wakimbia ya watu kutaka kujua na wakapitia juu yake na ndelea kwa anaangalia kwa side.
Now look at what it was a double tragedy here. They did not just push him out of the car, but after pushing him, the vehicle again did not use a diversion. It had to, to ride over him. Such a cruel incident, right?
It took the swift intervention of a standby DCI Subaru patrol vehicle to bring the bus to a stop. Detectives pursued and eventually impounded the vehicle. The bus registration number KDK 060H was later towed to Athi River police station. The driver and the conductor are in police custody. Huyo kijana ni alikuwa anafanya kazi, at least analipia mama yake rent, anasaidia kijana mdogo mwenye kwa nyuma yake. Sasa sasa atafanya nini? Serikali kama
So imagining of what a circumstance led to his death, of course you understand that if he had the less fare, that would automatically maybe allow the conductor to tell him not to use that vehicle, because we have so many vehicles that ply on that road. Why push somebody out of a bus that is speeding and then now have the driver crashing the body? That is quite inhumane. It defines us, we as Kenyans, in very bad books. Remember, a lot of foreigners are currently opting to come to Kenya as a country that has been defined for long as Hakuna Matata, meaning there is no conflict. But of late, when you look at our reactions or actions, it speaks opposite to what the expectations are. Of course, the city is one of the places which is almost always called Shamba la Mawe, meaning a place that is too tough for anybody. But then now making such an inhumane act is quite unfortunate for anyone. And looking at what will happen to Super Metro, I'm so sure that people are going to stop using this kind of vehicle and opt for others. And unless they rebrand it, and as I've said, most people automatically come to know that this vehicle has been rebranded from this to this. It has happened to long distance vehicles, and we have seen this happening. So it's not the first or the last to see this. And in most cases, when people die, even in accidents, the citizens simply just boycott. Kenyans are known well for this, and of course, be sure that this is going to happen. And it may not only happen to Super Metro alone. People will be very cautious about the kind of vehicles they get into. Of course, it's hard time for most of the Kenyans, and it would be human enough to understand one person. Would one person really run down your business if you allowed them to ride in your vehicle if they have less money? That is not actually a situation that would lead you to killing somebody. This is a killer bus, right?
Murezi, a young man who had recently secured a job to help settle his ailing mother's hospital bills, was pronounced dead on arrival at Shalom Hospital. An autopsy will be carried out tomorrow as detectives appeal to witnesses to come forward with information that could shed light on the circumstances surrounding his death. Watu wa Super Metro waangalie maneno. Sasa hii imekuwa wazi. Kwa nini? Sasa sisi hatuna uwezo yote. Sasa hii ni pesa ya postmortem ndio inatakika na hatuna, tutafanya aje? The Super Metro management has since expressed regret over the incident, maintaining that they are still piecing together events leading up to and after the tragic occurrence. It is experts.
So what exactly is this that they are supposed to piece together? Because once a tragedy has happened, the company should own this and work out on how to compensate for the dead. Of course, there is no price that can be paid for anybody, but compensating and accepting their fault is the first move. But when they talk about piecing together and all that, it's not very clear about what the intentions are. So as we really see the family pushing for the swift action over Joseph Mureithe's alleged death as a killer bus Super Metro, because the conductors, it is quite a sinister hullabaloo indeed. So let's end here. Of course, I promised you just 10 minutes, not more than that. I'll do another video then and then rest. Bye bye for now.